Such an honor to moderate this panel with all of you. And I'm going to start out actually with a really easy question to launch us in, which I usually end panels with a lightning round, but I'm going to start by asking, carry-on or checked bag? Stellene. Both. Both. Depends on the trip, depends on... Okay. Just both.
As long as I can.
Carry-on as long as you can. I packed carry-on for the first time.
Then big piece.
Then a big piece. Yes, after shopping. Good. Okay, so I'm going to start out with you, Stellene. Is there a brand or something that has come across your desk lately that we don't know about yet?
No pressure. Well, I will tell you that I just came back from Milan from all the shows, and there is kind of a very beautiful and straightforward direction that's happening. I think a brand that I actually love is a brand called Attersea, which some people might know here, but it is a brand that certainly a lot of women that I admire shop from. It's only online, and it is super high quality, and also when you get the package, it is packaged so beautifully, right? So that's all those things. Luxury cannot have any friction. It has to be smooth from beginning to end, and
Yes.
Attersea delivers on that.
Does anyone know Attersea? Melissa? No? Okay. Wow. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Frédéric, you're next. So sorry to go out of order here, but you've created a deeply personal brand that bears your name.
Yes.
So how do you think that's evolved in the last decades of people putting their name on products? And it's endured, but it's also evolved. How does the name...
So I have created Édition de Parfum to talk about other people, not to talk about myself. Because remember that on the bottles that we produce, you have the name of each perfumer. And I am just a publisher. So it has my name, but it's really to connect the best perfumers and more demanding clients. And when you wear a perfume, you're not wearing a name, you're wearing a scent. And we want those perfumes to be as connected with each person's character that is wearing them as possible. So that's why, reverse engineering, that's why I have asked perfumers, I've given total freedom to perfumers so that we could come up with this very eclectic collection of perfumes. So as for my name, there is an aesthetic in Édition de Parfum. There's this Bauhaus aesthetic. There is a way to greet people. There is a quite strong concept. And I think it's easier to do things when they bear your name or where you are the center. Because then, being a natural dictator myself, every single detail obeys to the same logic. And I think that it's very easy to create disjointed companies. And when things bear your name, and then Indagare is not bearing your name, Melissa, but it's very much a vision of one person, it makes things way more coherent, for better or worse. And I like the better or worse because I think that when we have a company, when we run companies that are so personal to us, we give our very, very best, but also there are those little faults that, things are not perfect because they come from one person.
Right.
And I think that the public is quite sensitive to imperfection because imperfection makes things human. If you have something which is absolutely perfect, like a perfect individuals rarely get married. They're boring. And it's so, there's also this element of imperfection when you land your name to something, which I personally like.
Are you married?
Yes, for 35 years. Patient.
I think that's so true. It's not about the name, it's about the person. Yeah. My next question for you too, is there a scent is there a scent like the burrata or the kale of scents that you wish would disappear?
Oh, many. Well, our business since the beginning of times have been, the burrata is the last success that everybody copies. But then if you sort of look into it a little bit deeper, you have that very sweet note that you spend in taxi cabs. that is, it's chemistry, it's called ethyl maltol, it's not going to tell you anything. But it's like, it just smells like sugar. It's the sugar that is in strawberries, it's the sugar that is in some, it's like, it's not even vanilla anymore, it's just like sweet. So you have that, you have those oud, like those very aggressive, dark, woody, embry notes that are chemical wonders. And you have an embry note. And the three of these are dominating the business at the moment.
Yeah.
Individually, they are very interesting. Put in a pack, because it's like a magic formula to winning, it's horrendous.
Interesting.
So
Thank you.
that's that.
Maddie, can you talk a little bit about the Heirloom Project, and also in particular how you find artisans around the world and champion them?
When I was in touch with a group of women in Marrakesh who are have special needs and have been taught the art of embroidery, and they have made their income through tourism, and Morocco went on shutdown. And I started writing letters to the Met, to the Islamic wing, about the ladies. And I did not write to the curator. I was writing to assistants and following the rules. And then I was getting letters back saying, it sounds interesting, but we don't know how to fit this into our program. And then the letters ended up on different desks. And finally, I got a phone call from someone at the Met and said, this is a great idea. Can you come in? It was a very exciting moment.
Yes.
And the women at Al Noor, where I was working, were equally as excited because it was a great honor for them. And when we started with this, I was approached by the store to then bring in the entire Islamic wing for their 10th anniversary. And this seemed like a really big project to take on during COVID. And it gave me a big mission, morning, noon, and night. And I was pretty obsessed with it. And because of Zoom, we were really able to work. It was really exciting bringing this project to countries that are really suffering, not only during COVID, but are suffering in general, like Lebanon, Afghanistan, all different places where life is very hard, and calling them and saying the Met is interested in a project, an artisanal project with your artisans. Can we work on something together exclusively to the Met? I felt that I was bringing something wonderful to people, and they were very excited, and it made me very happy, and it made the project, as difficult as it was, very joyful.
Yeah.
And it was a source of pride for everyone. From that, we moved also, the Museum of Fine Arts Houston came to see it and did a pop-up, and now we are doing another project in Australia at the National Gallery of Victoria in Melbourne, and also with the Topkapi Palace in Istanbul. And they are all using some of these artisans from hard to reach places. And I'm really excited about Australia because we're doing a show on ancient Egypt. And it's a great opportunity for artisans to make products that are inspired by that period. We all love that period.
What do you look for in an artisan that kind of makes them stand out for you?
Well, there's a lot of different things, but one is, first of all, I'd love to reach out to people who are in hard to work areas and conflict zones. This is really important to the project. And I have a lot of long stories about that, way too long for this. But getting things out of Afghanistan while we were pulling out of Afghanistan, there were all kinds of terrible situations that we were dealing with. Turkey had the earthquakes, and working on this project through all the troubles in the world was really amazing. But the people who I end up really working with are the people who continue to do the work and stay with it, with all the challenges that we have. Those are the ones that I end up working with. Everyone wants to, but not everyone can pull it off. So
it sounds like you're finding these bright and beautiful linings in places of conflict, which is so amazing. Yeah. Charlotte. Does anyone follow Charlotte on Instagram? If not, you should. I know that Melissa feels one of the reasons that any trip that you do sells out is because you have such a wide-ranging variety of passions: architecture, interiors, gardens, fabrics, people, jewelry, photography, art. So where do you go? Because you know a lot about a lot. Where do you go to find luxuries that are sort of beyond the big brands?
You know, it's just a lot of ferreting around. It's a lot of discovery, I love, look, the nature of my business has been in interior design, shopping for other people for almost 40 years. So I never pass a shop I don't go in. I never, not go to a market that I'm 100 miles within. I mean, you're just used to doing that. So you're used to the hunt. And I think that's part of it. And so when that's in your DNA, that hunt gene, you do it with everything.
Yeah.
Whether Melissa was talking about reading, reading is a very big thing to me. I'm pretty voracious, but I'm always looking for another suggestion from someone else. So I just think it's doing your homework. I read a lot, and one thing leads to the next. I mean, we all know that between Instagram, I look at 2 papers every day. I adore the FT. I'm buried in that on the weekend. One thing leads to the next, and we're all down the rabbit hole looking at something else.
Do you have a current favorite website that you go down the rabbit hole to shop on?
No. Lately, because of work, it's been hardware websites. I don't think you really want to talk about that today. But it's a necessary thing, and that's what we've been doing. I love when somebody recommends something, whether it's on Instagram or some blog that I don't really look at that many blogs anymore. But when someone has had a good experience with something, you kind of want to be a part of it.
Yes.
So, you do that thing. I don't think it's any one thing. I just think it's constant movement, looking, seeing, doing, finding.
Yeah. And what are you reading right now?
What am I reading right now? Gosh, I usually read about 2 or 3 books that are very, very different so I don't get them all mucked up.
Yeah.
So I'm reading a book on Rousseau. I'm reading a book on gardens because I'm just getting as much prep as I can for next year's trip. And what is the other one? There's another bio. I just finished one bio on the librarian for J.P. Morgan.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, which was really fantastic. A fantastic book.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
Books on women always.
Yeah.
And I'm writing a book on women, so.
Oh, okay. Well, now I have a question for all of you, and we're getting into, this is a deep question. Okay. What is your biggest challenge right now in reaching the luxury consumer? Is it there's too much content? Is it, for example, there's not enough staff in hotels we've talked about, that's really hard for hoteliers right now. Is there something that you're struggling with, willing to share? Stellene.
Well, I will say that as a magazine editor, my biggest challenge is not with the consumer, but with the industry itself. I think that anyone who has been on a plane or at a hotel or at a restaurant knows that there is an appetite for beautiful things, for luxury, for joy, for excitement. There's great curiosity. And I think that sometimes there is so much chatter about what the luxury consumer wants. People forget to pay attention to what the luxury consumer is actually doing. I will tell you that last year when everyone was reporting that there was a recession happening, people were like, well, what are you going to do at Town and Country? I mean, that's the whole magazine. If there's a recession, it's over. And I thought, I read all the newspapers, I watch all the news shows. I know everyone's talking about a recession, but I cannot find a hotel room in Paris.
Yeah.
And it was really true.
Yeah.
I cannot find a hotel room in Paris. I cannot find a restaurant reservation for Saturday. So there might be reports of a recession, but the challenge is not to always listen to the and to pay attention to what your clients are doing, to what your friends are doing, to what people are asking you about. And so that for me, I mean, for a few years now, it has been drowning out the noise.
Yeah.
And just thinking about what are people asking me about at dinner parties? What are they talking about there? Not what the news is telling me people are talking about.
Yeah,
So.
that's so true.
Well, I was just thinking about what Stellene was saying about luxury and what it is and how we define it, but also who is the luxury buyer and what do they really want? And I think personally, from the service side, because that's what I do, I'm a consumer of all kinds of stuff and places, that I think people really need to think about who is that person and what do they really want. And I want fewer of them in my face, so to speak,
Yeah.
and giving me a little bit of space.
Yeah.
That's really why I go places, is to have time with myself and hopefully my husband. But it's that time and space and simple things.
Yeah.
Like give me a roast chicken any day before you
Yes.
give me foam. Okay?
Absolutely.
I don't really care about foam, but a good roast chicken is great
Yes.
when you're really tired.
Let's
So
quote,
it's-
that's the
it-
pull quote
yeah.
from the panel.
So it's understanding, what that person is. And,
Yeah.
and that, I think, redefines luxury today.
Absolutely.
I think we're constantly redefining who that person is and what it is. For me, it's time and space.
And you also love a long walk, right? Which I
I
think
love-
actually is an ultimate luxury.
I am a wanderer.
Yeah.
There's nothing I like more than just to grab my camera and hit the back street somewhere by myself, be in my own head, take pictures, and really see and absorb where I am,
Yeah.
not just the hotel and all the hot spots.
Love it.
I don't have much to say, to be honest.
Okay.
Because, I think it's very different per country as far as I'm concerned. I think that in this particular country where I live and which I love, I feel incredibly indebted to Barney's. Barney's was this place where you had this amazing selection of new brands from Europe. They brought Prada, they brought Armani, they brought me, more modestly. And, but they could cater these new brands to a very curious public. And you don't have that anymore in America. And in most countries in the world, you don't have powerful department stores, which I think is a problem when you start a business, because you then have to start your store and hope that there are going to be so many people passing by and sort of even seeing it. People usually look at what they know. So I think that it's that distribution structure which has become
Has
quite
changed.
difficult.
So yeah.
But apart from that, I mean, as Charlotte was saying, you just have to know who you are, your target,
Yeah.
and be yourself. But that's no news.
Well, and I think this leads into my next question, which is many of us that I've talked to, we do think that AI might be the end of the world. However, is there any aspect of it that is particularly exciting?
Yes. So AI, a few years ago, when AI was just beginning, they tried it in perfumery. And what you probably don't know is that when you finish a perfume, then you have to create for the body milk and the shampoo and this and that. And so you have to adapt it ever so subtly for a different application. And we thought, oh, AI is going to be great because it's going to know each base and it's going to tweak the thing, the formula, accordingly, and it's going to save every time. AI was horrible at it. It was just pathetic. But what it was great at was coming up with new ideas that human being artists were so conventional and being so set in their ways, didn't even think of. And those ideas were fantastic. So I think AI is sort of surprising in this way.
Yeah.
But then also in a much more commercial way, I think to your first question, it's very important that each brand has a personality and is a personality and has a voice. And I think if you can teach AI, it's going to be extraordinary for I mean, following customers on the net and
Yeah.
and all that. So yeah.
Yeah, we've talked about putting an AI filter, how cool it would be to put an AI filter on Indagare's content, because then it's using our content to find.
And I think I'm going to do something similar.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else on AI? Stellene, you probably have something.
Sure. I think first, related to what I said before, it's important to measure our reaction to AI. I feel like, and I say this as a note to myself, because I can sort of, spiral about it, but as someone who works and loves print magazines, I have been hearing for 20 years that what I'm doing is going to die any day. Town and Country is strong and alive and well, okay? Retail, brick and mortar retail, we were told it's over, it's done, there are gonna be no more stores. Well, did you see the Tiffany store in New York? Did you see the Dior store in Paris? They're just bigger and better. So I think sort of the doomsday part of AI, I'm trying to temper my reaction to it. I think there are useful applications, but I think we also, as luxury purveyors, need to have confidence in what we do and what we offer and what our services and our products offer to our clients that AI can never replicate. And I think that confidence is really a crucial reaction to it. AI can never be luxury. Luxury is about craftsmanship. It is about great service. Those two things, what is crucial to them are the human element.
Yes.
Without the evidence of a human hand, luxury does not exist. And I think we need to stand very firmly and confidently in that and not let the panic over AI make us forget that.
Absolutely, yes. The travel industry, we're well prepared for that. Like, we have job security.
I will become extinct as a decorator if AI figures it out. But I really, look, one of the things that I've acquired over time is sitting across a boardroom table with a client, going through a presentation and reading their face. What works, what doesn't, you can tell. Yeah. You can hear what they say, and then you can also hear what they don't say. And that's really the skill that you acquire dealing with people one-on-one. Yeah. So I just don't think you can replace that, just like what Stellene said. It's all, and everyone that produces for our business, that there's a craftsman. Yeah. It's all being done, by hand. I will say that I did sit next to someone at a dinner party this summer who was a tech entrepreneur, and we started talking about AI and ChatGPT. And I had not downloaded the app as of then. I went home immediately before I put my pajamas on, took my makeup off, did anything, downloaded that app, and gave it a mission. Because I've been working on some fiction, and I gave it a problem, and it came back with a whole different solution than this path that I was marching down. Mm. And it really made me think about how it could be that tool to keep you, as Frédéric was saying, from being this way, linear.
Yes.
And letting you do this, but then pulling it back to do what it is you are gonna do. Yeah. But it was another perspective. And I didn't have to ask another person their opinion. I just put it in there. It was 1 o'clock in the morning, and then I took my makeup off and went to bed.
It's an ad for AI right there. One thing I just wanted to mention, Stellene, before I forget, about the print magazine that you mentioned, because we, of course, also have a print magazine, but you kill it at cover lines. And there was one recently, it was something like, would you live on 53rd Street? Or so you're setting the tone.
Let's all just move to East 52nd Street. That's a recurring, actually, that is a recurring rubric on our cover. Right now, the cover that's just out is, let's all just move in with Ralph. Well, I mean, it goes back a bit to how I began, which is voice and point of view. And Town and Country's voice is very strong. Our point of view is very clear. The cover lines announce that immediately. They tell you as soon as you pick up that magazine, or as soon as it comes to your house, or as soon as you download it on Apple News, however you get it, who you're talking to. And, that speaks to the humanity that I just talked about, but it also speaks to the idea of, right, someone said to me, oh, ChatGPT is really good for travel advice. And I thought, well, I need to know who's telling me where to go. Yeah. And those cover lines tell you who you're speaking to. And so everything that's in the magazine flows from there. Yeah. And it also speaks to the fact that we have a great time making the magazine.
Yeah, it's fun.
And I think that joy and that excitement and belief in whatever you are doing translates to your clients. They can feel it. They can see it. Yes. And that has always been hugely important to me. And it starts with, let's all just move to East 52nd Street. So.
Amazing cover line. Let's move on a little bit to wellness, which has changed so much over the last 2 decades. Melissa is obsessed with her Oura ring. Are you wearing it right now? Yep. Does anyone else have one? Oh, Eliza, a lot of Melissa people now have it. How has wellness changed for you personally? I mean, this decade could be called the decade of transformation in some ways, like for health and wellness. What are you doing in your own life, wellness-wise? And is travel a part of that?
I think more than anything, and I will say one thing about wellness, that I probably haven't done as much as I should have in terms of taking time and doing good things for myself. Because we're all working these crazy schedules. But I think that my morning ritual of just even stretching and my smoothie and my head time. I think head time leads to body time. I think if you get in your head and you can relax and unwind, then everything else kind of flows from that. Anyway, my husband says I'm a little bit improved in that area, so I'll take it. But when it comes to wellness, I think that sometimes when it comes to travel, whatever kind of spa someplace has can be a determining factor. Yeah. The services that they offer is really important. And I don't mean beauty services.
Yeah.
I mean services related to wellness.
There's an amazing place here, Palace Murano, which I want to go to next. I don't know if any of you guys have been. But yeah, that's
an amazing spot. I think that sometimes can be the determining factor. If they have it, if they don't, what type do they have?
Yeah.
And is it superficial or is it really, down and dirty, good wellness program?
Yeah.
Well, for me, it was very gradual. It's not the last 10 years. I mean, remember, I'm French. I come from a family where we had 4-course meals, lunch and dinner.
Wow.
And so I suppose that what I see what's happening in my life now is quite different. But it's gone very, very gradually, and you sort of become aware of what's good for you, not good for you. This is almost like learning how to drive and exercise and what's healthy and not healthy. It became part of the conversation.
Yeah.
What I kept, and a little bit to what Charlotte was saying, is that I still have 3 meals a day. And for me, or I try, it's a way to have 3 conversations. Because when you have a meal with someone, you can have a conversation. And that's the French side that stays. Yeah. And so you have a meal that big now, but you keep on talking. And you learn things and have this exchange with people, which is, another kind of food, to what you were saying.
3 meals, 3 conversations. I love that. You can throw a couple of coffees in there too.
Yeah. Well,
afternoon tea.
I miss my office. I love the coffee machine.
Stellene, do you wellness?
Well, since we were talking about Town and Country cover lines, I will give you all a preview of the next issue. I wrote the cover lines this morning, and one of them is "Live Forever or Die Trying." And
it's amazing.
And we have a whole piece on these new sort of all-body MRI scans and just about sort of the longevity race. And I will say, I think that is certainly a preoccupation of our clients and our readers. But for me, the people in my life who have aged the best, right? Aging well should be the sort of goal, are the people who are still curious and the people who still have passions and still have interests. So that is always, and I feel like when I am away, I can, believe me, I can hang out on the beach with the best of them. But there comes a point every trip where I need to do something to learn something new. And when I do that, and I was just in Milan for Fashion Week, and the Town and Country team always carves out a day where we do sort of culture. Because after you're sort of doing the same thing day after day, to go to a museum or go to a gallery somehow feels like you've just done a great run. And so for me, when Charlotte talked about taking those walks, there's nothing that feels healthier to me, sort of mind and body, than just wandering. And curiosity is the fountain of youth. And once you stop being curious, you get old, no matter how old you are.
It's another cover line. Curiosity is the fountain of youth.
We used that already.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay. So true. Are we all still scrolling Instagram on our phones at night? Or do you have other tools of discovery that you use? And are you on Instagram?
As little as I can.
As little as you can. Okay. Is there any tools that you're using? I mean, are you on TikTok? Are you?
I consume TikTok.
Yeah, you're still using Instagram. Do you use Instagram?
I use it. I don't use it often. I consider it a tool that we all need to be involved with. But the Insta part is a bit of a problem for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm a little long. So I do work on making my Instagram short and to the point and not overdo it with people. I think people are saturated with imagery, and I think that that's damaging, actually, even to travel. Saturation is a problem.
Yeah.
But I also really look at TikTok a lot. I think we're in a very primitive new time with TikTok, but I think it's going to become a great tool for all of us. And it's very educational. I agree. It's just at the beginning. It will be interesting to see how it is in 20 years from now.
Oh, I have to get on.
Yeah.
Well, even the behavior, right? When you see what goes viral on TikTok, there's insight in that, right?
Yeah.
Like the food videos, the fact that people love to watch people eat.
Yeah.
It's really, I'm like, you have to try and unravel. Like what?
Please unravel it for
Right?
me.
I watch it sometimes and
Yeah.
I think, is it like ASMR? Is it the like of it? Or is it just do we just need something? Is it like ambient noise, right? Is it the new ambient noise? I don't know, but it's watching what goes viral on TikTok has become kind of an obsession of mine.
I find it interesting too. And I also would say that I have about 10 people in the world that I love and care about, and 500 animals on TikTok that I am very concerned with. Okay. So
Animal talk.
there's a lot of animal people. Yeah.
And Charlotte, you are active on Instagram. Do you use TikTok?
No, I don't use TikTok. I really like reading books. I guess I'm just a nerd.
So good.
I mean, at some point, how much does all of this consume our time? I mean, I came up at a time when if you wanted an answer to something, we just talked about this in the office the other day, my father sent me to the Encyclopedia Britannica.
Yeah.
Or I went to the public library on a Saturday to do research and homework. So I don't want to end my day on Instagram.
Yeah.
I'll look at it. But if I haven't read before I go to bed, I feel like I've missed something in my day. There's just so much. I have to do it.
Yeah.
I probably Instagram once a day. One consultant told me once, if you really want to be a player on Instagram, you better do it 5 to 6 times a day.
No.
With all due respect to the youth in the crowd here today, I did not need to have a 25-year-old tell me what I needed to do.
Yeah.
You know, but it was 5 to 6 times a day, they said, to really be a significant player on Instagram. But I do it because I write books,
Yeah.
and those are the people that read my books, and they need to constantly be fed things while I'm still laboring over the next one.
Yeah.
But all these recipes never work. They, you know, it works for some people that base their personality on this. But if you are you don't need to do it five times a day. People would never expect that from you. It would be sort of counterproductive. I hate those rules.
Yeah.
Should never follow them.
Okay.
All these clever people coming with those ideas. I hate that.
I'm going to end here with a quick lightning round. Okay. Most romantic hotel.
I love Et Hem
At home in Stockholm.
in Stockholm.
Yes.
Or Amman in Beijing.
Amman, Beijing.
These are nice.
All right, just because I have to, represent my people, I would say Privolas, Santorini, and because I was just there, Villa d'Este.
Nice.
Yes, you know I'm going to say Elf.
Elfen.
And I know this from personal experience.
Yeah, this is nice.
I guess when it comes to romance, it would have to be with my husband anywhere. Anywhere I could get him on a plane and go to, really. But I mean, there are places like, there's that one room that stretches across the whole of Villa San Michele, which is an incredible suite and very romantic. Villa d'Este, I mean, the classics.
Yeah.
But really, to be romantic, it would have to be with Barry.
Oh, you still love Barry. That's nice. Okay, last question. Favorite luxury of yours under $50?
Wow.
Mine would be William Greenberg black and white cookies.
Let me think about it. I'll come back to you.
Okay.
I'm an addict on little nothing things on Amazon. Jeff
Oh.
Bezos comes and delivers them to me because I buy so many. So
That actually is a
find
good
one.
question. Roast chicken.
I'm a drugstore cosmetic girl. I've been wearing Maybelline for years. Products like Nivea, Aquaphor, everything that's really generic and boring that you see in the drugstore, I love them all. They're fabulous.
I'm going to pick up on Charlotte's remarks. I really love finding these little things in the
Drugstore.
drugstore.
Yeah.
and just
French
giving them
pharmacies.
a try. Sharing them with girlfriends is fun. And I'm going to add one more thing. I do like to shop at Lilac Chocolates here in New York.
Yes.
Because I want to support our oldest chocolate company, and they have delicious chocolates, and it's a lovely gift under $50.
Wait, is it under 50 or under 30?
50. Inflation. It was 25.
Okay, because when we were talking about food, I was going to say William Pole Watercress dip, but I actually think it's probably more than $30.
Oh, it's so
Yeah. But they're potato crisp. I would say travel size Biologique Recherche products because they allow me to do carry on only. And for me, that is the greatest luxury.
Yeah.
Once I am at a baggage carousel waiting for my bag, the luxury spell is broken.
Yes.
And luxury is a spell, and once it's broken for me, it's broken. So that has been the game changer in my travel.
Great answer. Okay. Frederick, did you think of one? Or does anyone have any questions before we have time for...
And also travel size Frédéric Malle.
Oh.
Promise.
Okay.
Promise. It's more than $30, but anyway.
When I first arrived in New York when I was 9, my father took me to J.G. Mellon to have a cheeseburger, and I still love them.
That's
I think
a
I would
great
have that.
answer.
That's New York to me.
J.G. Mellon
Oh, yeah.
cheeseburger. Good.
That's
Any
healthy.
questions? Any burning questions before? Everyone's been here since before 8 a.m., so I know we're ready for a break. See you tonight in your sparkly outfits. Do not forget your lanyards.